Start your own franchise with just $10,000 to $15,000 out of pocket. Explore numerous established franchise opportunities where your total investment, including fees and startup expenses, ranges from $90,000 to $150,000. Potentially, an SBA loan can cover 85 to 90% of the total project costs, which include working capital, employee salary for the first few months. We're going to help you discover a wide range of concepts that may be best aligned with you and how you go about figuring out which one of these business models makes the most sense. Basically, there's hundreds and hundreds of franchise concepts where you can be all in between $90,000 to $150,000. So with SBA financing, SBA will cover between 80 to 90% of the total project costs, which include working capital, employees' salary for the first few months, all the machines and equipment you need to buy, marketing costs you'll need to incur. So basically, let's just say the total project cost is $100,000. You can go out and get a SBA Express or a small SBA 7A, and they'll cover up to 90% of total project costs. Now, not all banks and lenders are created equal when it comes to SBA financing. We can help you navigate and show you the SBA lenders that are really good for these smaller SBA loans specific to franchise startups. Once we establish and find the franchise that best fits you, the best business model for you, then we dive into the financing component of how to structure the financing, what you can include in the total project cost, and how it's put together and funded ultimately. But before we dive back into the financing component, let's talk about finding a business model that best fits your skills and your lifestyle, right? That's the idea. Is most of the people we talk to, they're in a W-2 job. They might make six figures. They do fairly well, but they're not really getting ahead. They want to start building legacy. They want to build a business where as they put in the work in this business and it gets going, right, you're creating value, just like you're doing a value add on a fix and flip house, right? You're fixing up the house and you're increasing the value. Well, as you're starting this franchise model, a couple of years in, as you make it more profitable, that is now increasing the value of your business, right? So at some point, you will be able to sell this business. And that's very common to be able to do that. So you're building an asset as well as building a cash flow machine. So now we got to really figure out, well, I don't really know what type of business to get into. And I want to talk to you about the model we use. We're going to use a franchise. We call it a business assessment. It takes you about 10 minutes. You go through it. I would say it's like a disc profile if you've ever done a disc profile. And really what it does, it really shows your strengths, where your skill sets would be best matched for a business model. It helps the franchise advisor. It also the franchisors use this because they know if they have, let's say they have 100 units and they're using these franchise assessments, they know what strengths do well with operators in their system, right? And then they can say, well, this is our ideal candidate and it matches well. So that's how these franchise or business assessments are used. So we start there. We then spend about an hour with you going through a questionnaire about different sectors and what you do with that business model, right? It's important. Like most people say, well, I don't want to own a roofing company, but we kind of digest what do you need to do as a business owner in this sector. So we go through various sectors. There's, like 15 different sectors of franchises. So we go through that. We explain what the business owner would be doing in that sector. And keep in mind, there's business models where they're owner operator. That means you're in there, you're doing it, right? There's executive models where you're managing a manager. There's semi-passive models and there's passive models. There's not as many true passive models. I would say most of the passiveness comes from semi-passive models where you're spending 20 to 30 hours a week running the business, not working in the business, but working on the business. If you study EMF, similar concept, right? So based on your skill sets, the available capital you have, the amount of time you have, the lifestyle type of business you want, we start going down the rabbit hole and we're helping you uncover some ideas. So after you take your profile assessment, you meet with one of our franchise advisors for about an hour. Usually what happens next is you'll have another appointment set up where we're going to present 5 to 7 different models to you. You're going to go through, you're going to have time to review what we send you, figure out, do you like any of these models? Maybe we send you 7 and there's 2 of them that look interesting to you. Then what we'll do is we'll make introductions. You're going to do some calls. You're going to deep dive on those business models and really see if it's a good fit. You're going to learn the day-to-day, what it looks like, what profit margins could be, what top line revenue could be. How do you scale this type of model? What are the day-to-day operations that you would be doing to be a good operator in this system or a good manager. So that's really the process, right? So now we know you can get into some of these franchise models for as little as 10 to 15% out of pocket. So if it's $100,000 total project cost, as little as $10,000. If you do this right, you can find a business model that aligns with your skill sets that you can grow. Now, granted, it's not going to magically happen for you. You have to make it happen. You have to follow systems. The reason why we like franchises is because they're typically a proven model, right? Unless it's a startup franchise model. But if it's a small to medium-sized franchise, they'll typically have at least 20 units and sometimes 300 units. So they have a model, they have systems, they have marketing, and it's really just finding a business model that aligns with what you're looking to do. And now that's when we dive back into the financing. And from the financing component, by then you're going to have received the FDD, which is the franchise disclosure document. And that's going to list, it could be a 200 or 300 page document. It's going to show what you would need, what the typical range of costs are for a startup. And then they could say, hey, it's a range from 90 to 125,000. Here's the breakdown of your startup expenses. From there, from an SBA standpoint, we start figuring out, well, what do you need? Well, this franchise model needs 2 trucks. It needs this much working capital. It needs this much for marketing. It needs this much for your first hire. And then we build your total project cost. That total project cost is used by the bank, the SBA underwriter, and they're gonna put this together. So they're gonna go off what the FDD says is needed for the startup. And if it says you need 2 trucks, you need 2 trucks. If it says you need 1,000 square feet, 500 to 1,000 square feet, you need to get invoices for all this. So this is how we put together the package for the SBA. You need to do projections. You need to the FDD, sources and uses. This is the total project cost. 3 years of your financials, a resume, Form 413, which is a personal financial statement. Anyway, there's a lot to it, but it's really not that complicated, and we can help you through the whole process. Now, for more information, I created a mini course on the franchise buying process. You can go to franuniversity.com. I suggest you take that course. It's about probably 25 minutes, give or take. Go through that. It's going to give you a deeper dive. And then when you're ready, go to franprofile.com and take your business assessment. It's going to take you about 10 minutes. It's going to automatically email you a copy as long as you click the box. It'll email you a copy. It'll email me a copy. On that same webpage on franprofile.com, there'll be a book or call button too. So after you take your business assessment profile, you'll schedule a call with me. We'll deep dive a little bit further, and that'll be the next step. So if you're interested, Fran University, go to the mini course, then go to Fran Profile, take your assessment, and then schedule a call with me. Hope you enjoyed this video. We'll see you on the next episode.
Are you trying to escape the W-2 rat race? Or have you always wanted to own your own business? Have you ever thought about owning a franchise? If so, franuniversity.com can help. Our training program teaches you everything you need to know about franchise ownership, from choosing the right franchise to launching and running your business. We have the resources and specialists to help you from A to Z. You'll gain the skills and knowledge you need to succeed as a franchise owner. The best part, it's free to join. Go to franuniversity.com.
Hey guys, Bo X here. If you enjoyed what you saw, please subscribe to this channel. We talk all things financing. I've been in the lending industry for over 20 years, and I'm happy to answer your questions and provide great content.